So it's 21 minutes now after 6 o'clock Mountain Time. We're live here on CBC News Network, and let's check once again with Briar Stewart, our reporter who has been keeping us up to date on what's happened. I don't know if you've just changed the angle there, Briar, but it sure looks different than it did before. And so again, describe for us where you are and what's happening there.
Sure, Ian. What a few difference a minute makes, and that's basically what's been happening all afternoon here. I'm on the road leading to the airport, which of course we now know has been closed. And just a short while ago, it was gridlocked traffic. People were using this road to get onto Highway 63 to leave the city, and the people have been stuck in traffic really for the last couple of hours as some tried to head north and some tried to head south. Now, it was late afternoon where the fire grew rapidly and dramatically and caught, I think, a lot of people living in this community by surprise. Flames were really lapping at the side of Highway 63. In some cases, they jumped the highway, making that major thoroughfare impassable at some points. Of course, as you know, a dozen neighborhoods have been evacuated, 29,000 people affected, and even those that aren't in the mandatory evacuation zones, I think a lot of people are just choosing to leave because they saw just how quickly the fire grew and the fact that the fire was moving into downtown.
We can see a little bit of this behind you, of course, Briar, but describe for us your kind of first-hand sense of what the weather is like right there and the impact of that smoke. I mean, I would think it would be quite noxious at this point, but tell us what you're experiencing.
Well, the wind has seemed to calm down a little bit. That being said, it is still windy. We were a few blocks further north this afternoon, about an hour ago, and the smoke was so heavy, and when you would be getting these gusts of wind, it would just blow all of the ash. So the ash was falling on you, you were inhaling it. It was very difficult to breathe. I can only imagine people with breathing problems, how difficult it would have been for them. It was very, very hot, and the flames were just right at the side of the highway. I mean, shooting 10 meters up into the air, and it was quite something to see. And then of course you'd hear these noises, these pop, and what it was propane tanks exploding. So once that started to happen, I think it really sunk in just how serious the situation was. And so at that point, people got in their cars and they tried to get out of town.
It's interesting, your camera operator showing us that tight shot of a helicopter with a bucket underneath with presumably fire retardant. A necessary part of fighting this fire, but it seems so small in relation to the huge billowing smoke we see behind you. I should let you know, Briar, we're just getting word now that local authorities are saying that all of Fort McMurray is now under a mandatory evacuation order. It's important that we keep people on top of what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. But what are your plans in terms of at what point do you make the decision to leave Fort McMurray?
Well, I mean, that's something we're talking about with our crew and with, of course, our editors in Toronto. I mean, that decision will be made. And we have been repositioning all throughout the afternoon, trying to figure out where is it safe for us to be, because, of course, we want to bring people the story and the very latest, but we have to be mindful of our own safety as well. I mean, so that's a discussion that's going on. And I'm not surprised to hear that the entire city is under an evacuation order, because, as I said, a lot of people, even if they weren't living in those neighborhoods, they saw what was going on and they wanted to be as far away from here as possible.
One question I have for you, Briar. I mean, on that road behind you, we see, first of all, there's very little traffic, but it's a steady stream of traffic, right? There are vehicles that are going by. Now, are those people who seem to be staying in Fort McMurray, or would that be a route that would take them to one of the to the highway north of there? Who are those people on the road?
Right, well, to give you a sense of where I'm standing, this is the road that goes to the airport, and I'm going to get my camera person, Rick, to just pan over. And this road leads directly to Highway 63. So the traffic that you are seeing go by, these are people that are trying to get to the highway, heading south, probably many of them likely toward Edmonton. That's where they're heading. By the airport, I mean, you could have staff coming from the airport who are now leaving because, of course, it's been shut down. There are a few businesses down that way and hotels as well. So as this evacuation order grows and more people are told to leave, you'll see more people getting in their cars.
And the RCMP or some authorities obviously had told you earlier to reposition, and so describe that for me as well. Is it, we know a lot of police officers are on the ground there, so they kind of circle around every once in a while and give you updates on where you can and shouldn't be?
And how that situation unfolded, Ian, is actually quite interesting because we were standing there, we were about to interview two gentlemen that owned a taxi business, and some RCMP officers came by, wanted to make sure we were safe, made sure that we knew the fire was just across the road, and just told us to be mindful of our location. Then about 5 minutes later, we saw this vehicle come screeching around the corner, speeding very, very fast. It was just somebody in their car, obviously trying to get away from whatever was going on. Then about 30 seconds later, another RCMP car came by, and he wasn't having a conversation with us. He was saying in no uncertain terms that we were to leave because the situation had deteriorated that much just within a few minutes.